Hi, welcome back to the Guillemot Kayaks Workshop. I'm Nick Schade. I'm working on the Petrel, which is a 17-foot high-performance sea kayak. So in this episode, I'm working on interior stuff. I'll clean up the deck hull joint a little bit and then cut the hatches, install the cheek plates, install the hatch rings. I'll put in the Skeg box and the Skeg control. I'll make the Skeg control and several other interior tasks. They won't quite finish up all the interior work, but it'll get most of it done. So let's get right to it. So I sanded over the edges of the hatch rings here, so when I glass them, there's a nice smooth surface to transition down onto the underside of the deck. And it just makes it feel good, so when you reach inside, you don't have that hard edge to hook on anything. So you see, by laminating these in place, I've established that curve, so when they go to get glued in the next time, there won't be any stress on it, and they'll go in nice and easily. So again, I do this as a two-step process, so I can round over this edge and get it all glassed. So instead of gluing these directly in place and then trying to sand with this installed, I can get it all cleaned up, all nice and clean, and then put it in, glass over it, and it'll be nicer. With this hatch ring all sanded out, I've sanded around here, I'm going to glue it in place. One thing to think about the hatch ring is, like the combing on the cockpit, we've cut a big hole in the deck here. One thing the hatch ring is doing, it not only makes a place for the hatch cover to land and seal and have a gasket and all that, but it's actually reinforcing this hole. So, you know, we've weakened the boat by cutting this big hole in the middle, and now this is reinforcing that hole to make it stronger again. So I'm going to end up glassing over this, but the next step before that is to just glue this in place. So I'm going to get some glue on the surface of the ring itself. You don't want to be too stingy with the glue. We do want it to squeeze out a little bit. This is, again, was attaching the reinforcement to the boat. We want it strong, and it's also going to be a seal between the water that gets into the hatch area and the gasket, and so no water can penetrate this way into the boat. So we want it well sealed. So we want to have enough spread on here that it's going to squeeze out all the way around a little bit. We'll have to clean that up at some point. And we'll also put enough around here on the deck itself so it's well saturated, covered with glue. Right now I'm just going to put a couple clamps on here to hold it in place, and I'll flip it over and make sure everything's lined up. So I've partially made these little Skeg control slots on the CNC machine. Now I'm just going to put some fiberglass on the interior of that slot. So I want to wet that out with epoxy. These are cheek plates. These go in on either side of the seat, hold the backrest out of these holes, and keep your butt centered in the kayak. I'm going to glass both sides of these, and I'm going to use some peel ply to give it a nice smooth finish. This peel ply is nylon cloth that the epoxy does not stick to, and press it down here, and then when the epoxy is hardened, this peel ply can be peeled off and you're left with a smooth finish. I'm going to fill the holes here with a little bit of epoxy with this milled fiber in it. This just makes a stronger, it's like liquid fiberglass, makes a stronger filler. And that hole is going to have quite a bit of load on it due to the back band. So now I'll take a little bit of epoxy in each hole. So now the epoxy's dry, so I can peel the peel ply off. See, it leaves a nice smooth finish. It's got a little bit of texture due to the weave of the fabric, but and so, you know, this was all messy. Clean. I made some extras of these cheek plates just because I have my supply with more than I need. I'll trim the excess fiberglass off these. Look good. So I'm going to glue these up. I want to get these 1/4 inch tubes on each end, but I want them straight so this center tube can run through them smoothly. So I'm going to glue them up with the center tube in them. So right now I've got them in here. We've got the larger diameter tube, the smaller diameter tube, and you can see the larger diameter tube is just sticking out on the inside there. So I'm going to glue them in that orientation. I'll use some G-Flex to glue the stainless steel to the wood. The G-Flex should be a better bond than the standard epoxy. G-Flex is a flexible epoxy that is good for bonding together things with different flexibility. So we have the really hard stainless steel of the tube and then the soft wood, and so it makes a good junction between those two. It's a 1-to-1 mix. So I'm going to clean the stainless steel off with some acetone and a Scotch-Brite pad. Make sure it's good and clean so promote the best bond possible. So that's it for this episode. In the next episode, we will finish up the interior work. That'll include getting the deck lines figured out, working on the coaming lip, and then joining the deck and hull. Just want to remind you that you can find plans for this kayak and a bunch of other small boats at my website at kilomattkayaks.com. That's the primary means of supporting these videos. If you'd like to contribute directly, I've got a Patreon. You can find my Patreon at the link in the description below. And any support you provide there is deeply appreciated. Otherwise, it's always helpful if you like these videos, share them with your friends, and subscribe to them. Any of that is a big help, and I really appreciate it. So until the next episode, thanks for watching and happy paddling.